Cities and Knights, Oceania. I just played that one a few games ago. Oh, of course it did not work. Okay, that's good. Maybe we can hop into a different Seafarer scenario with Cities and Knights. The Treasure Islands. Let's see if this one works. Everyone's ready. Bam. Okay, we're in here. Catanians, I bring you yet even more Cities and Knights gameplay. Let me turn the brightness up a little bit so y'all can see in here. And we're going to 16 victory points on the Treasure Island scenario. Now, there is a slight variation with building on the Treasure Islands. In other Seafarer scenarios, excluding Greater Catan, you will get a victory point for building a settlement on a new island, plus an additional 2 victory points for building on that island for the first time. In the Treasure Islands, it's slightly different. You get 1 victory point for building a settlement on a new island, and then you get an extra victory point for that being your first settlement on that new island. So it's a total of 2 instead of 3. So something to keep in mind when you're strategizing your ultimate victory in the Treasure Islands. And there is always going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and not pictured at the bottom of your screen. Below that should be a 7th Treasure Island. And you don't know what you're going to get. They could be almost anything, and at least 1 or 2 of those hexes should be gold. And I'm not sure if if any of those hexes are always desert, at least one of them. But if you can discover those treasure chests that are, sprinkled out through the Treasure Islands, they can give you salvage treasure, which is a brick, a wheat, and a sheep. Or they could give you 2 free roads or ships. Or they could also give you, I believe, something else. There is one other thing. Maybe because we're also playing Cities and Knights, maybe it gives you an option to choose a progress card from the color stack of your choice. Now I placed first, and I knew I had to get on some wheat, and I also had to get on some ore, because you see, ore is not that popular. We have an 8 ore, a 9 ore, and then the 11, which sucks. Then for wheat, we have the 2 6 wheats, and then there's a 2 and a 12 wheat. So building on wheat for my initial starting settlement, it was so critical because, as we all know, wheat only produces wheat. It doesn't produce any commodities. So for my starting city, I don't want to build on wheat. I want that for my starting settlement. And red took a good spot right there. The 5 sheep, 10 sheep, 9 ore. I was going to build on that spot if red chose to build on the spot that I ended up on, which was the 8 ore, 4 lumber, and 3 sheep. But thankfully I got my preferred spot. So I will be getting, hopefully, all the commodities throughout the game. And I will be very competitive when it comes time to fight for metropolises. So right off the bat, 5 get trolled. I'm not on a 5, but that's okay. I have a good feeling. I've a pretty diverse number set here. I have 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. If I could get a 5, maybe with Inventor later on, that's going to really come in handy. And there goes the second roll to 10. So still not getting any cards just yet. But that's okay. The Barbarians still have 6 more spaces to advance before they invade. And because of my setup, I start out with a lumber, a sheep, and an ore, so I just need a 6 get rolled, and then I can guarantee that I'll protect my initial city when the Barbarians do invade. So there goes the 8, and I'm not going to be able to build a knight this turn, but I will be able to spend a coin and get Blue City Improvements level 1. So right off the bat, we are hunting for progress cards. Blue progress cards will come in handy. If one of the players jumps ahead in victory points and I hang back at 3, and if I get wedding, then I'm going to be able to steal cards from another player early on in the game. And that is always super helpful. I always look forward for that opportunity because early in the game, everyone's production is relatively low. And let's say another player is producing resources or commodities that I can't, then if I can use wedding on them, then they'll potentially have to give me some of those resources that I'm not able to get on my own. Or even I could get them by trading, but early on it's very hard to trade anything. I don't have any ports, I don't have merchant. So that'll be nice to see if that happens. But then again, I did build on pretty diverse resource types. I have 2 ore hexes, which is nice because you see my strategy is to go down to that ore port. And once I get on that ore port off of the 8 ore, then I'll have lots of ore to trade in at 2-for-1 rate. As you can see, I just traded off a brick. I was going for a brick, but I am going for a wheat, but I also wanted that brick so I could quickly get to that ore port in case things go south and I'm not able to build a knight and activate it. Here goes another 10. So as you can see, 6s are more likely to get rolled than 10s, but this particular game has proven that probability wrong. But now I'm going to build my road to the ore port, and once I get the ore port, I'll have lots of ore to trade in, and additionally, I'll be in a prime position to build 2 ships off of that settlement spot and go out to the treasure islands right to the left. So I'll be in very good shape. I'll discover hopefully some new hexes that'll give me stuff, and I can open some treasure chests too. And if I absolutely want to, after I do that, I can go off of my starting settlement, build to the brick port since I have that 4 brick, and then go off to the treasure islands on my right. So we have a very good setup. Red is going to struggle a little bit this game, I think, because although they have a very good starting city spot, they're kind of far away. They have to build 2 more roads to get to the coastline if they want to also get on a port, because I think they really need a port to be effective in this game. And at the top of your screen, their starting settlement is a 965 with very good resource types. And if they can get up to that lumber port, that'll be good. But after that, if they want to go over to a treasure island, it's going to take them 1, 2, 3, 4 ships just to get over there. Whereas me, once I place my settlement on the ore port, I'm just 2 ships away. So it'll be able to get things going that much faster. So I think my main competition is going to be blue, because blue has already built a road over to that 4 lumber 11 ore spot. And once they get on there, then they will also be 2 short ships away from discovering that treasure island at the top left of your screen. So the robber is advancing. 7 gets rolled. No one can do anything. And what am I going to roll? I am protected from the barbarians. I roll a 7 and advance the barbarians. So we gain victory, and this time we are going to tie. So I will grab, I think I'll go for yellow. So I was actually hoping for like merchant fleet or merchant or resource monopoly, but I did get commercial harbor. So I'll have to keep an eye on what commodities are coming in for red and blue, and then if I have extra resources left over on one of my turns, then I can trade those for commodities. But I stole a paper from blue, so of course I'm gonna upgrade to green city improvements level 1, and I also got a cloth earlier in a previous turn, so I'm level 1 on all the city improvements so far. And there goes 2 coin in my hand. So they're moving pretty well. Nothing crazy, nothing like the other game where I got science bonus before the barbarians invaded, and I almost got the metropolis to protect my city from that initial barbarian invasion. But alas, it'll happen another time. I'll work for it. I'll keep looking out for that opportunity. And there goes road building. So I'm like, man, if I would have taken a green progress card, I would have gotten road building, because I got to choose first, because I ushered in the barbarians with that 7 roll and that barbarian dice roll. So just something to keep in mind. But I really was hoping for a yellow progress card for better trading opportunities. So blue is going to get on that sheep port with that settlement placement. And you see I have Master Merchant, and so that is very perfect that they went ahead and got an extra victory point. So they only have 2 cards in their hand. So I'm actually going to steal from red. Even though red is doing worse, I'm going to steal from red, because now I can use Master Merchant and take both of blue's cards. If I stole from blue off that 7, off that robber move, then I would have only been able to take 1 card that blue had remaining with Master Merchant, but I wanted to get as many cards as possible. So that's why I stole from red when I moved the robber on both of their 5 sheep that they share, and then use Master Merchant, stole from Blue, and then I just got the maximum amount of cards I could have stole in that sequence of events. And I said, you know what? Let me just build another city on the board, and now we have 4 Barbarian Strength, so someone's going to have to pony up and build an extra knight or upgrade one of their level 1 knight, and then activate it to protect, themselves or myself from when the barbarians invade. But I went ahead, I got the city because I knew the barbarians were so far away from invading, and I was hoping for a 6, which I got. So now, even though that's a 10 right there, what's up with these 10s? I can activate my level 1 knight, and I can be safe for now. And I actually have the cards to upgrade that level 1 knight to a level 2 knight, but my thinking is that if someone has any coin, aka red, because they have a 9, if a 9 gets rolled, at some point here, I just want to be sure that I have 2 level 1 knights. That way, if someone has Deserter, or maybe they chose a blue progress card when we all tied for Defender of Catan last round, when the barbarians evaded, I don't want any chance of my knights being stolen, especially if I just had a level 2 knight, and having it get stolen from me would put me in a very vulnerable position to get defeated by the barbarians and have to burn a city. So red, for whatever reason, has taken a long time to take their turn. So we're like, what's going on? And then they just leave. We're like, we're just getting started here. And red wasn't doing that bad at all. They had a very good setup. They just had to make sure that they upped their production further or got out to the coastline so they could move on to the Treasure Islands. But they look like they were in a prime position to take that yellow metropolis because all these 10s are getting rolled. They have a city on the 10 sheet, plus 5s are getting rolled here and there, and they have a 5 sheep with a city on it. Plus they have a settlement on that other 5 sheet. So if they got merchant, which they would get off of the yellow city improvements, because remember there's 6 merchants in the 18 card yellow card progress stack, I think they had a pretty good strategy. But I guess for whatever reason they leave, so we're left with their AI, and we will move the robber. And I'll probably, even though blue can move it, let's say the barbarians don't invade by the time it gets to blue's turn and blue rolls, blue could chase away the robber with their knight. But I was like, let me just shut the 10 down because I don't want them getting any more paper. I want to slow down their goal of getting that science bonus, aka level 3 green city improvements. And there goes an 11. And that inventor that was used earlier actually helped me instead of harm me. Now the intention was to pull my 9 away and give me an 11, but then the 11 got rolled for me, so go figure, right? And even though the barbarians have not yet invaded, a 7 got rolled, so blue will just move the robber with a 7 instead of chasing the robber away with his knight, so he doesn't have to worry about reactivating his knight. But I am in a prime position to take Defender of Catan with a victory point because I have 2 level 2 knights now after that smith that I used. And I also have Resource Monopoly, and that 4 made me realize I will get a lumber and a brick and combine them for a road every time a 4 gets rolled. Plus I get a paper. I actually get 2 brick. So now I'm kind of thinking, as soon as I get on this ore port, maybe it's a good idea to build a road off of my 6 wheats, which I just do, and get on that brick port right after the ore port. And I built that road there before getting the ore port settlement because there's that 6 that I needed. I didn't have the cards to trade in for a settlement just yet, and I didn't want to have to burn cards. But then what do you know, I get too many cards the next couple turns, and a 7 gets rolled, and I gotta burn cards. So I burned the 2 ore, the coin, and the paper, because I wanted to make sure that blue didn't have a chance to steal a paper from me, because I knew they were going to shut me down. And I also didn't want them to get any of my ore, in case they were trying to build another city on the board this early on. I want to be the only one with 2 cities at this point in the game, and just have my production, keep going at this rate, while others are kind of lagging behind with only 1 city apiece. So there goes a 6. And I know there's wheat out on the board, so I could resource monopoly the wheat, but I was like, I also have irrigation, so let me just get 2 wheat because I only need 2 more wheat to trade in at a 4-for-1 rate. And now I have the ore port on my side. Plus 8s will net me 2 ore and a coin, so that'll be nice to have. I'll basically have a coin and a free trade. And merchant fleet used by red, lucky them. I wish I had that earlier on when I had that 5 wheat. And I know he's going to alchemist a 10. Yep, there it is. So blue gets 2 lumber and a paper, and as a consequence, red also gets a sheep and a cloth. And blue goes ahead, they get merchant. That's the one I've been trying to get this whole game, but they get it before me. And now they have that science bonus. Okay, so they put the merchant on wheat, traded in wheat for another paper, got the science bonus. Very nice strategy. And then another 6 gets rolled, so now they have even more sheep to reactivate their knight now that the barbarians evaded, or they can trade it in further at a 2-for-1 rate. But with that 6, the barbarians also invade, so I get a victory point. So now I tie blue, and I don't have merchant yet, but I do hope to get merchant in these next couple turns and steal it away from blue, because I know they're 4 short paper away from getting that green metropolis. And if they decide to build some ships off of their settlement on the sheep port, then they're going to start discovering, treasure islands, and they're going to get salvage treasure or be rewarded with building 2 more free ships or roads of their choice, and then they're going to take off and get longest road. So I got to see if I can slow down them getting that green metropolis. And there goes inventor again, so I feel like I'm going to lose another number. And actually, instead of losing a good number, I actually gain the 5 because blue shares that sheep hex with me, so he gets rid of the 3 for us and brings us a 5. And I'm like, thank goodness, because that further increases my my good numbers. Before it was a 3, now it's a 5, so I have a 2 4s, a 5, 6, 8, and 11. And once I build in that brick port, I'll regain the 3 number back. This time it'll be on a lumber hex, but that's okay. And the barbarians are back at their initial spot, so plenty of action to have here. I have both my level 2 knights activated, so I'm getting ready to get a second Defender of Catan victory point once they make their way back, because blue has 1 level 1 knight, red only has 1 of their level 1 knights activated, so I'm not worried at all. Unless a deserter gets played, I will probably get a Defender of Catan victory point once again. So I exploit the AI, I trade 1 of my lumber and I ask for 2 sheep. They take it and then pass the dice, my favorite type of trade. There goes a 3. So I would have benefited from a sheep and a cloth, but blue moved the 3 away. But there goes an 8, and now once again, blue is just ahead of me, so I can use wedding, and they have to give me 2 cards of their choice. And I did that before building anything, because I didn't want to tie them and then not be able to use wedding. So I used wedding first to maximize my turn. And now I'm in a very good spot. I could try to build a city by doing some trading and then build it on the ore port, but I was like, let me just get the brick port instead, because I can trade in 2 brick for a lumber, and now that I have the brick port, I can trade 2 of my leftover brick for a coin or a paper. I could either get the politics bonus or Green City Improvements level 2. I was like, let me get the politics bonus because I have Smith in my hand, and I can use Smith later on. I want to wait till the barbarians get a little closer, just in case, in the off chance someone plays deserter, because it's hard to keep up with what color progress cards everyone has been getting. I see that red has 3 progress cards, and I don't really know what they are. I don't really know what the colors are. I'm sure if you watch this video back very carefully, you can pick up on what color progress cards they most likely have in their hand. But I'm just paying attention to all these other things in the game. I can't quite keep track of that. So I can use Smith on my next turn because the barbarians will presumably be closer to invading. And then I'll have 6 knight strength and will be totally unmatched. So there goes a 9, and I'm wishing that my 9 was still with me, although it would probably be shut down right now. I'm surprised that, well, I guess it makes sense. Blue did not put the robber on my 8 ore nor my 6 wheat because I have knights protecting those. So blue knows that if they put the robber there, once it gets my turn, I can chase the robber away with my activated knight and then put it on them. So I guess that's why they didn't do that, because they know 6s are getting rolled pretty well. So I had definitely have wheat to reactivate my knight if I choose to chase the robber away. There goes a trade monopoly, and a coin gets stolen from me. I am very glad that blue did not choose to steal a paper, because that may have helped them get the green metropolis, quicker, because I don't know how much paper they have in their hand. I guess that's why they went for the coin. Maybe they want to just have city improvements, they just want to keep increasing them so I can keep getting more progress cards, and that like they're playing a long-term strategy. But then there goes a 10, so they could have had that paper plus the paper they could have stolen from me, but alas, they did not, so that's good for me. So I can try to see if I can get to the science bonus here in the next couple turns. And I have merchant in my hand, so I can go ahead and I could steal merchant away from blue, which will be good because although they don't get a whole lot of wheat, eliminating that 2-for-1 trade for them and just bringing it over to me is that much better. So now I have ore, I can trade it 2-for-1, wheat I can trade it 2-for-1, and brick I can trade it 2-for-1. And I'm getting a good amount of all 3 of those resources, so I'm very happy with that. And it looks like blue might decide to build on that wheat port because they have 2 roads there, and now they're touching the 8 brick 3 lumber spot with the wheat port. So if they do that, then me taking the merchant will basically only take away a victory point from them because they're just gonna go ahead and get that port. So I go ahead, since I didn't have a wheat to reactivate my knight after chasing away the robber, I just use Smith. So that way, instead of just having 2 knight strength, I have 3 knight strength, and my other mighty knight is deactivated. That way, the other players probably won't be able to match me with 3 knight strength here in the next couple turns, because the barbarians are only 2 spaces away from invading. And then blue, this is not what I would have done. I would have gone directly for the wheat port. That way I would have had another coastline settlement to build ships off of to the treasure islands. But they go ahead, they go for the production, and they actually build inland. And now that wheat port spot is no longer available to be built on, because either of the 2 spots that would get you the wheat port, they're both 1 space away from a city or a settlement. So the wheat port is no longer available to be taken this entire game. So I guess blue wanted the production, they wanted the 4, but the 4 brick is just, it's all right. Plus they already have the science bonus, so I don't, and they're already built on a 4. I guess they get a road every time a 4 is rolled, just like I do now. But, I would not have taken that as more valuable than having the wheat port and the option to build ships off of my coastline settlement. But I guess I can still build coastline settlements, ships off their coastline settlement on the sheep port. So to each their own, and there goes a 5, and I get some sheep and cloth, but so does blue. Red only gets 2 sheep because they only have settlements on a 5 sheep, because that 5 sheep they had earlier was taken away by blue with Inventor and brought over to me in blue spot. And they take longest road, they go ahead and build a ship, so they are the first to build a ship. But I roll an 8 and I have crane, so this is going to be a good turn, because I could take the science bonus and or get the blue metropolis. We're going to see what I can, plus I have crane, so that is just perfect how all this lined up here. Getting that crane progress card so I can build a city improvement for the cost of 1 less commodity. So I only had 2 paper, but crane acts as my 3rd paper, and I got the science bonus, plus I have 3 coin in my hand. I have 3 ore that I could trade in at a 2-for-1 rate, or I have 2 of my brick that I could trade in for a 4th coin as well. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best play here. So I just go ahead, I do 2 of my ore for the 4th coin, and not only do I get the science bonus in this turn, I also get that blue metropolis, so I'm up to 10 victory points. And I haven't even taken Longish Road, so there's no worry about me losing my victory points unless one of the other players makes a miraculous comeback with Blue City Improvements and manages to take my Blue Metropolis from me. But at this point, I'm just not seeing that happening. I will keep an eye on it. If anyone gets the politics bonus, then they will be on my radar, because then they can get to level 4, then maybe even level 5 after that. But the closest player is Red. Red has level 2 on Blue City Improvements, so nothing to worry about there. So I built a ship of my own to match Blue, so we are each one space away from discovering a Treasure Island hex. And with this 7, thankfully Red does not move the pirate ship, and even though I'm winning, they put the robber on the 8, which is crazy to me because the 8 is a brick. I thought that Red would have valued the 8 ore that I built on as more valuable, not only because of the ore that comes in that I can use for an ore port, but also the commodities. But to each their own. Maybe Red was really looking for a brick to do their thing, because it looks like they're trying to build a settlement on the 9 ore with the 12 wheat and the 3-for-1 port, and that'll be their coastline settlement that they can then build ships off of and go on their merry way. So there goes that salvage treasure I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Gets you a brick, a sheep, and a wheat, and I think that they did that when they made the Seafarers scenario games, because it doesn't give you a lumber. So you have to have lumber in reserve to continue building ships. It just gives you those 3 resources, so you can't really do much with, brick, sheep, and wheat on their own. You can, in Cities and Knights, if you have enough of them, you can build city walls or use wheat to activate knights, or use the sheep and couple it with lumber that's already in your hand to build ships, or couple it with ore that's already in your hand to upgrade knights or build knights initially. So very interesting how they do that with salvage treasure. So I actually discover a lumber hex, so it's a 3. Actually, I already have a 3 lumber, but I was like, the benefit to building on this 3 lumber is not the production that comes with it, but just getting those 2 victory points, because I get an extra 1 special victory point after I build my settlement on that 3 lumber spot. And I was able to take the Green Metropolis on that turn. I had just enough cards to trade in for the extra paper I needed, and now I have the Green Metropolis, so I'm holding it away from Blue for right now, because Blue took Longish Road and they started their expansion. And if Blue can build on, even if they just build on 2 separate treasure islands, that's a total of 4 victory points, which will boost them to 14 victory points. So I'm like, I need to get that Green Metropolis before I do anything else, before I even build on the 3 lumber on that new treasure island I discovered, because Blue has the science bonus, the Green City Improvements level 3. So let me just stay 1 step ahead of them, and hopefully I don't have to worry about trying to secure away my Green Metropolis with 5 paper, so I can focus my efforts on getting on that settlement with a 3 lumber. So that will bump me up to 14 victory points. And then it looks like I am going to get Defender of Catan victory point once again. So that'll put me at number 15 on the victory point total. And you see the Barbarians advance, which I am rooting for them to just keep advancing every turn. And I get the science bonus. What a joy. So things are going really well for me this game. If Blue builds a settlement on that 10 brick, then we're going to be, pretty neck and neck. Even though I'm in the lead and I'm comfortable that they're not going to steal the Green Metropolis back, I still will be, very high alert, because when someone's at 12 and you only need to get to 16 victory points to win, 4 victory points are, pretty easy to get. But then again, they already have Longish Road, so it's not like they're going to be gaining those 2 victory points because they already have them. So I'm in actually a very good position here. So we'll see what happens. I just need those Barbarians to hurry up and invade, because Blue did not advance them. They rolled a blue dice. So I got Deserter. So after all this time worrying about another player getting Deserter, I actually get it. So I can actually steal a knight from someone else. And I saw there that Blue got level 3 on the the Yellow City Improvements. They got the trade bonus. So they are very close to taking that yellow metropolis. So they could jump up to 12, and then they could build on the 10 brick, which would put them at 14. And then if they build on that 3 lumber that I built on, they're at 16. So they basically need 2 settlements and that yellow metropolis. They need 4 cloth, and then 2 lumber, 2 brick, 2 sheep, and 2 wheat, and they win. So that's 12 cards total. They are 12 cards away from winning. So I have to make sure that I shut down that 5 sheep, which is exactly what I did, because if a 5 gets rolled, blue would get 2 cloth and 2 sheep. And they have a sheep port. So that 2 sheep that they would get, they could trade it in for a 3rd cloth. So I have to shut down one of their 5s, and it's not going to be the one I share with them, because I want to get sheep and cloth if they get sheep and cloth. Okay, so now barbarians invade, and I used my cards early in my turn to build 1 more ship so I could discover that hex next to the 3 lumber, and it was a 4 ore. So if I want to, I can build 1 more ship and discover that treasure chest that is on the 4 ore. And now I am at 15 victory points. I'm 1 away from winning. At this point, blue they have not been building their roads and ships in a continuous line, so they just have a 6 length longest shipping route. I have a 5 length longest shipping route. So if I don't roll a 7 on my turn, I may be able to trade in and get, at least 2 ships or a ship and a road, and I could take longest road to win. There goes an 8, and this might be the turn. This very well might be the turn. So I think if blue had just a few more turns that, where I was unable to put the game away, then they would have been able to take that yellow metropolis and then build a couple cities and win. So that is something that's very scary to me, because the potential was there, and then I recognized it, and there was not much I could do. The only thing that I could have done to hold them back further would be to take their longest shipping route. But they were such a powerhouse with building all kinds of ships and roads all over the place that I would have had a hard time trying to keep up with them. So it's good that my victory comes right at this moment, because give the game another two turns to come back around to blue and then back around to blue again, and they might have been able to seriously been battling it out in terms of victory points with me and been neck and neck. But I'm able to just build a city and just get this victory out there. And I can't believe red left that early on, and red could have connected both of their road systems, and they could have taken longest road too. So very good game overall. That was the Treasure Islands, and just a slight variation with victory points. In terms of building on new islands, you get just 2 total victory points instead of 3 like other Seafarer scenarios. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you want to see any particular Catan gameplay or content, you just let me know now in the comments, and we'll chat it out about that. But thanks for watching, and take care.